Hello friends, I'm very excited to show you what's new in Sketch 3. I've had the privilege to try out the betas, and I think the guys at Bohemian Coding did a really great job with this release. So here's what's new. As you can see, the UI changed slightly. We have new icons on the toolbar and we have a redesigned inspector, giving you quicker access to pretty much everything. So it's faster to change the fills and borders and whatnot with this new popover windows. And speaking of fills, now you're no longer limited to just 4. You can add as many fills as you want, and you can add gradients to a border. That's something you couldn't do in version 2. And the gradients now have this new slider up here, so it's way simpler and faster to change the colors of gradients. And you may notice this new row of colors right here. This actually automatically adds the most common colors used in a project. So you, without having to do anything, you have basically your project color palette up here. So now we have this one-stop shop for all your text and layer styles. It's way faster to change the styles, and all the typeface options, as you can see, are way more accessible, faster font previews, and overall just have a faster and cleaner way to access all the options with this new inspector. And a personal pet peeve of mine, you may have encountered this bug in version 2 where you're trying to paste something and it appears out of nowhere. You have no idea where it went or why it went there. So now if you copy a layer and paste it, it will be pasted exactly where it was, the original one. So right now it was on top of this one, but you can right click anywhere and paste it there and it will be pasted exactly where you specified it. So for me, that's a huge win. Symbols are with no doubt the main attraction of this new version. It allows you to reuse objects, let's say a button or a logo or anything that you can think of, and when you make a change to one, it instantly changes every instance of that same symbol. So what better way than to show it to you? So I created this little button, this sign up button. It has this blue color and some white text on top. So I select the button, click here on it says create symbol, and I'm going to be creating this new symbol of this button, right? So if I want to reuse it, I just go to insert, symbol, and you can see here it is, a sign up button. So there you go, another button just like the original one. Well, but that's not new. So if down the line I change my mind and I want to give it a white background and some blue text, let's do that now and you can see what happens. So I'm going to change the blue to a white color and the text to a blue color. So every instance of the same symbol changes instantly. So that's great. And this is not only for buttons and logos. As you can see now, I created this nav bar, created a symbol out of it. So if I'm doing, let's say, a multiple page website, I want to reuse the nav bar across all of them. So I just go to insert, again, symbol. Here it is, a nav bar. There it is, exactly like the original one. If down the line the client says, well, we need a new page on the nav bar, a pricing page, instead of you changing every single instance of the nav bar all across all of your pages, you can just add a new one, say pricing, and the changes take place across every instance of that symbol. So this is great. This is going to save a lot of time for a lot of people, and it works flawlessly. You've probably heard the news that the awesome dudes at Tihan and Lax partnered up with Bohemian Coding to offer a built-in iOS 7 UI kit. And that's true, but that's not all. So this is the window that you get when you open Sketch, and you can see that iOS design template, but we have as well an iOS icon template and a web design template. So let's explore this. So I'm going to be opening this web design template, and this is what you get. So we get an artboard for desktop, a tablet, and a mobile. So you can just start designing your website. But if you go to the symbols page, you can see we already have some built-in UI components that we're probably going to be using it, such as buttons or checkbox, select options, input fields. And because they are symbols, if you don't like them, or if you want to, let's say, the colors to match your brands, you can change it here and it will spread across all of your projects as long as you're using these symbols. And it's not just UI components. If you scroll here to the right, you have a lot of typography elements already built in for you, such as headers, body text, quotes, whatnot. So let's see that in action. So I'm creating a web page and I want to create let's say a blog post. So I'm going to add a style text, a header, an H1 header, say blog post title. And I want a subtitle, say H4. And this is a subtitle. And we're probably going to be wanting some body text. By the way, this little magic was brought to you by Text Expander. So okay, pretty simple, pretty basic stuff, right? We have a H1, H4, and some body text. But down the line, you'll change your mind and you want to change some typography options. So you'll say, oh, I want the H1 to be blue and a little bigger, and I want the H4 to be heavy, and the body text, I want it to be in Garamond. Something like that. When you get back to your project, you can see all of those changes took place. Now imagine if you have a huge project and you just want to change probably the color of your headers. This is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of headaches, and works flawlessly. As you can see, it's perfect. I'm really excited about this. Another thing that I'm really excited about is the way they changed the way you deal with slices and the exporting thing. So if you use Sketch 2 a lot, you probably encounter some headaches when it comes to export. So let's say I want to export this button. The way you would do it in Sketch 2 is you would create a slice around it, trim transparent pixels, and probably remove the background from the equation, and then export it, right? Because they had exporting figured it out for artboards. You could automatically create slices for artboards, but when it comes to individual UI elements, it was a kind of a headache. So right now, if you select an element, you have this new option here, is make exportable. If you click on it, you can set the size of export, you can add it. So right now we have a 1x, you can choose the format, let's stay with PNG, and you can add a 2x version, and we have a lot of options here. So we have half the size, we have 3 times, you name it. So if you click export, sure, to the desktop, you can see it exported all of those versions for you, and we didn't have to create any slices, anything like that. An even easier way is, this is pretty cool. So if you select an element and just from the object list up here, if you drag it to the desktop, it will create a PNG of it. That's awesome. But if you want, we still have the same old slices, so it all works exactly like it did before. So if you create a slice, right now it will stay in the same list. So now we don't have 2 separate lists for slices and objects, but you can filter the list here to don't show the slices or just show the slices. So if you still want to use the same method as you did before, you still can. Now talk about artboards. Artboards work a little better this time. So if you go insert an artboard, you can see we have some new presets, and they are organized, in my opinion, in a better way. So if you select one, it will just create an artboard. Or if, let's say, you want to create an iOS 7 icon, and we have all these different sizes. If you click on the title of the folder, it will create an artboard for each, as you can see here. So, and if you're one of those guys that OCD'd with these shadows on the artboards, well, the sketch gods heard you, and now you can hide the artboard shadow. I personally don't mind it, I actually prefer it, but if you're one of those, now you'll be happier. Now we finally have some new options when it comes to bitmap objects. In this example, this is a PNG. So if we double click on it, we have, look at this, a new window pane. So we have some crop features, we can fill the selection, and we can vectorize it. That's pretty cool. So let me show you how. So let's select this little area right here, let's say, and click on vectorize selection. And we have a new shape, a vector shape of that selection. And you can manipulate it as you want, as you can see. Or you can finally crop it. So if you just want to crop a photo, you don't need to create another object and use it as a mask, as I mentioned before on the latest episode. So let's say I'm going to select this area of the image, why not, and click on crop. And there you go, finally. Am I right? So although you don't have that many options when it comes to bitmaps, but now you can vectorize the image, and that's pretty cool. And it was definitely a feature that I missed on version 2. So now it's here. Another thing is the way you deal with the rounding of specific corners on shapes. So if we press enter, you can already see we have new options for the corners. So if you want to round just one corner, you can add this border radius to that one corner. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but it was just made easier in this version, and I really appreciate it. So there you go. I hope this was useful to you and you learned something. So why don't we all go download Sketch 3, play with it, and if someone finds a cool new feature that I missed, why not post it on the comments and we all be happy, a happy big family. So I love you all so very much. If you liked this episode, have you considered becoming a member of SketchCasts? And tell your friends, tell your mom, and I will see you next week.